We continue with one of our top stories. Pimville residents in Soweto have vowed to shut down the Maponya Mall for 7 days to demand accountability. Let's talk more about this with Johannesburg Public Safety MMC, Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku. A very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. Would I be wrong in saying tragic and unfortunate as this moment is, we should have expected it?
No, thank you very much, Budvuyo, and good afternoon to yourself and the listeners. Firstly, let us pass our condolences to the families of the deceased people. What has happened is very actually tragic. It was not supposed to really actually happen. So we are with the families in terms of the pain and all of that, and we condemn what happened. In whatever differences that are there, it should not go in that direction where people have to be killed and must be burnt like that, because some of the people heard that they were actually burnt at stake inside there. So that was actually uncalled for.
But I mean, we've known that these tensions have existed for quite a while. Accusations and counter-accusations have been leveled at the various stakeholders. What, as a city, have you done in the past, I should say years, to actually confront this problem head on before a disaster like the one we're confronted with right now actually or got to happen?
All right, if you still remember, in 2023, there was tensions of this nature, and myself and the former MMC for transport, we went and had a meeting with the Taxi Association and the Ehailers as well. We had a number of meetings before an agreement was reached, an amicable one, in terms of that feud that was actually happening there, and knowing for the fact that the transport and all this permits regulation is the competency of the province. So, but as a city and the Department of Public Safety, we have established, we have what is called the Taxi Violence Unit, headed, in the JMPD, that has been in constant engagement on the background, diffusing this, the tensions are out there. So the main issue that they actually been raising every single time was to saying that the Taxi Association, they said, look, they don't have a problem with the e-hailing, being there, operating. Fine. So we agreed on that they're going to be operating. But what they were saying was that the e-hailing must not operate like a taxi. People need to be requesting using an app. But what they were saying, and they were claiming, the Taxi Association that time, was to saying that there's an encroachment of the ehailers on their operation routes. They're operating like a taxi now. People are no longer using an app. They are operating like sort of an informal taxi association sort of. And those questions they were asked in terms of, do they have a permit as the ehailers? And then also the formation of a rank. They were saying that why the ehailers are forming a taxi rank, but they are ehailers. So we came to an agreement that, look, e-hailing must exist. They need to, this market, it is actually very big and it's evolving, this technology. So there's an agreement that, okay, fine, these are going to be operating, and the e-hailers strictly, they must ensure that people are riding on their cars when they've requested. There must be no, we call it ekasi or jigeleza. So there was a point where they found that they were claiming that some of the e-hailing guys were operating as a jigeleza. So we said, no, guys, let us stop this thing, that's not happening. So the e-hailers were fine, said, no, we're going to use our app. We don't use those, the jigelezas and all of that. So that's why it has been quiet for the past 2 years. And then now our guys from the Taxi Violence Unit are trying to check what has happened. Were there now some of the the contravening of those engagements that we had, those agreements? And some of those were saying that, look, guys, You don't have to come closer to the taxi rank. Let's say 100 meters away, because this is our rank, this is our market. You can pick up people anyway, it's fine. And then there was now for an engagement now in terms of the allocation of the space of the Ehailers within all the Soweto malls. So that was going to be now a second engagement, because the allocation of the Ehailers is supposed to happen at the malls, like it's happening at the airport. At the airport, you've got the meter taxis, you've got also the Ubers and this e-hailing are there as well.
So, am I wrong or right in assuming that at least the ranks part of the problem would be your competency, the competency of the city?
Yeah, look, the permit issuing and all the transport are at the competency of the province, because people of the province, yes, they need to apply for the permit and all those things, but we enforce that the bylaws in terms of illegal taxi ranks. We help the province in terms of intervene when there's a taxi violence, because as a city, we've established our taxi violence unit headed by Inspector Nguna, and they know him very well. That's why it has been very quiet. We've been instrumental getting in the public safety and transport and be the mediators. So we came out with sort of a working relationship. So we want to check now what happened for that, because it was quiet for about 2 years. Now you can see that there's something, a few that is happening, but the guys are there investigating what really happened, because we are not sure as yet what really was the issue or who's involved in what.
But what I'm not hearing you saying is how far you as the city then have gone in terms of allocating ranks or demarcating those ranks so as to make everyone happy.
Look, those ranks, I mean, it has been an ongoing debate in terms of, you know, the malls and the taxi associations. But what has been happening was that, remember, the e-hailers first, they need to get a permit and must be recognized. So there is an act, a National Land Act, that is in process. It must be completed so that they can be formalized. At this point in time, the e-hailers has not been formalized in it. That is their cry. So once that kicks in, at least ourselves as the city will be helping, and also we'll be talking, I mean, working with the province, so that we can, we can be able to allocate them spaces, ranks there and there. But if that is not finalized as yet, it gets very difficult. If you remember in Tshwane as well, e-hailers, they were not asked, to really operate because there were no permits. So central to this problem is that the government must be able to finalize the National Land Traffic, Land Transport Act, so that the e-hailers can be formally recognized, and all those benefits in terms of being registered, having permits, having their ranks, and all of that, it will be there. But on our side as the city, we've been the mediators in terms of how the e-hailers, the working relationship, forging a relationship between the taxi association and the e-hailers. But now negotiations were there with the malls, because it depends on the malls, like your Maponya malls and all the other malls, to really have an allocated space inside the mall. Yeah. So that has been actually going on. But look, we found that it was not going to be an issue, because if you are e-hailing, you can e-hail, they don't have a problem. You can enter and pick up a person. But what the taxi association, they've been seeing is that there is not a use of an app anymore. So the e-hailing has been now sort of a jigeleza. It has been operating like a normal taxi association. That's where this feud has been coming from.
Just very, very briefly, I understand you're saying, I mean, we're talking about permits that are not within your competency. You're talking about national legislation that is yet to be finalized. But in your, as you call it, mediation efforts, Was there anything that stopped you from arriving at an interim solution so as to avoid what's been happening since last night? In other words, to say, in the interim, while waiting for these other issues to be resolved, can't we agree on some interim measure to prevent the threats to life and limb as well as property, as is now the case?
No, Vuyo, definitely. I have to reiterate myself is that there was a part of a delegation from the public safety side to have an engagement with the Ehailers when there was a huge tension in the Protea Estate area, at the Protea North and everywhere. So we had engagements. And all of us, the taxi associations and the Ehailers and the taxi violence unit, we established a working relationship. This is how we're going to be working like that. We are not going to have, the e-hailing will be operating as an e-hailer. As an e-hailer, there must be a use of the app, and also there must be they must not operate as more like a taxi. People must request, and then they must be picked up at the mall, and then it actually go. So the parties reach that kind of an agreement while we're waiting for the province and the national to finalize their permits and how it works. So that's why we are saying that this agreement has been in operation from 2023 up until what has actually happened tonight. That's why I'm saying that I need to check in terms of what actually happened in terms of that agreement, because it has been okay. That's why I'm saying that on our side, we have a JMPD taxi violence unit that is working around the clock. If there are attention and people are encroaching on each other's routes and everything, then the taxi violence unit on the background, they would actually be there.
Okay.
If you remember that on our side as well, is that we have been flooded. JMPD, there's been talks with the transport the department, with the Ehailers and the provinces. So at the background, I'm just saying that there's been sort of constant meeting. We even had a WhatsApp group at some point when the things there was stabilized temporarily.
Okay.
We were able, to be fine. So we've been with an STS. They will be there. So the Soweto Taxi Association will be there. E-hailing guys, they were there. Province came in. Someone from the province with meetings with them every single time.
Okay.
So, but what I can tell you now is that the main crux, what we need to look at is that there's this operation that we just need to check that if you are a taxi operator, you must have a permit, and you have an allocated rank, and there's an association. With the e-hailing, what we've discovered there was that if we can formalize them, and then secondly is that let us use a street, the taxi guy said, no, we don't have a problem.
Okay.
We can they said we don't have a problem. Okay. But the problem is that the e-hailing must use an app, because when there are marshals that are there in the area, but some of the guys, they are operating as Ojigeleza lapha.
I got you. You've really made this point several times. Let me thank you very much for your time. MMC for Public Safety in Johannesburg, Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku, weighing in on the developments overnight in Soweto. Hopefully, those who have a part to play will do so sooner rather than later, before more lives are lost and more property is destroyed.